Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have a bit of a shorter game for you guys here today. It is featuring Whiskey, Officer Kiraman, and the Second Lieutenant Fufu. And this is a game that I'm not in. It is a community cast submitted by Whiskey, one of two, and I am going to get to the second one, just not quite yet. We have a thermomix. Oh, this is really rude. This is really rude. So it's rare you see a 3v3 on Mudfight, but I've seen it happen once or twice before. Even participated in it once or twice before, and that plane getting out was a little lucky. Although, I don't know, it's only a 3 veteran CMLU. And, okay, here we have two people's openers going to that. Yeah, that's so many points, it's insane. And the HG40s, I mean, it was a good idea, right? But Gammas are no match for MH60L DAPs, and that's just something that you really can't change, even with big numbers. DAPs are amazing in their own right, and they really just outclass Gammas. But this, what is going on? Blue 4 Napalm. Okay. Blue 4 Napalm. Who could even bring that? I wonder. Huh. I see, what this looks like to me is the rover. That looks like the South African rover. Could be somebody who's playing generic Blue 4, because I don't see dedicated South Africa. And this is brave, walking through it anyway. Double BU from Fufu is going to be very impactful. And we also have double T80UM from Kiraman. That is going to be just a lot of heavy guns. But believe it or not, Rover Wombats can actually give a pounding even to super heavies because they deal 1 guaranteed damage any single hit. And I mean, if there's enough of them, they shoot in decently well. But the BMP3's not a very common choice, but I've seen Kiraman use these before, and it is just deadly stuff. Deadly stuff. Okay, Fufu has a Buratino. Where is... there it is. Alright. And let's see. What right now Fufu is saying is that it's going to go right into the back to cut off their supply. Well, their route for reinforcements, things like that. And yeah, pretty good targeting. Definitely an impact, well, at least on the morale of the Blue 4 infantry here. I mean, the Proletarian 90 are going to be panicked anyway, but this is pretty nice zoning. So you'll notice the higher density of Napalm compared to the Blue 4 40-point rovers. I mean, of course, they're a lot cheaper as well, so that is another thing you have to consider, and that looks like an attack'em shot to me. For the... oh, shit. Alright, pretty nice response time there, actually. I always struggle with the attack'ems because I don't have a great response time on the missile, but it looks like they actually might have fired both in at the same target, or is that different? That looks like it's going for the BUs, and 1 hit, 2 BUs dead. That is just crazy. Whoever's using the attack'ems there, nicely done. I know it's not on the team of the community cast, but that was just too much skill. Too many good kills right in a row for me not to comment on. But I think generally Red 4 is getting the better of this fight. We still have the UM from Officer Kiraman. It looks like the other one is back here as well. Yeah, both a little damaged, but that shouldn't be a problem for too long. We do see some Yodels coming out. And then there's a nice field presence in Anna, which Blue 4 doesn't really have to match. So, yeah, okay, this is a nice ping. So Kiraman is a major and really, I think, deserves to be a higher rank than that. Just doesn't really play ranked anymore and can certainly hand me my own ass, usually when we play against each other. But Kiraman directing things is not that unusual either. So the notice here to push hard is exactly, I mean, it's the reason you see these tandem short arrows coming up here. I think the intention, if I had to interpret it, is to get around behind the reinforcing lane and get the BVPs shooting in against valuable things in the backline. I mean, we have somebody here who clearly loves Rover Wombats, and Toy Lubovnik, I think that means your lover in English, but I'm not entirely sure there. Bit of an interesting choice with so many Wombats, but keep in mind they're cheap, they have really long-range guns, and they pretty much just mostly paid for themselves, getting a couple of vehicle kills and some kills on Proletary. Each Proletary is 15 points. I guess that's a Wombat and a half, so there's more here than that, but there's a couple of Proletary that went down. Really quite a menace, quite a force to be reckoned with, and okay, that's nice. That's nice. VDV, those Vampires, you have to be aware of them, because especially when the tanks are already damaged from something like a Cobra off of the T-64Bs, that's going to be a lot of punch, and at a pretty good range as well. Everyone, I think, forgets that the VDV 90 has 875. I mean, I don't know if they forget about that if they're the one using it, but when they see it, sometimes I think people forget. They just think, oh, it's a really good launcher, but really good launcher can mean a lot of different things, and here you get range, and you get punch, and you get accuracy. It really just is the complete package. So double 2A4 NL, and these guys are the 145 pointers. They are the ones that I like better a little bit than the 130 points 2A4s, although, I mean, even the 140 point ones are pretty good, and this is One thing, okay, this is nice. We'll go back over to where Whiskey's fighting in just a minute, but I really like this split engagement here because if the 2A4s advanced more this way, they'd be getting side shot by ATGMs from the T64s. If they went in to fight the T64s, they'd be getting side shot by the UM and the BMP3s, and the BMP3s have autocons, which are really long range, only 21 AP, not the best accuracy in the world, but I mean, I think they're still really pretty good launchers. And as much as Blue 4 has been fighting back here, in Anna in particular, this has to be a fragile cap. So it does make you wonder. There's Mechanizov and Apesh right here. Probably Blue 4 isn't capping right there. I'd say probably somewhere over on the left. Usually, I mean, it's one of these two places on that side, and if Red 4 is right there, I mean, that would be a gutsy call. And it looks like at least one player is getting even more napalm. This is nice for screening. It's nice for area denial. What it'll do, you see the Spetsnaz Gru right now are outside of the woods. It's because they almost certainly moved out of the fire. And, well, now they're not going to be hidden. They're going to be spotted at a larger distance away. UM's and BMPT over on the left. Okay, I mean, I'm not sure I would take those guys to clear the woods. But, I mean, the BMPT, certainly. But that's just funny. Kiraman and I having the same thoughts. Okay. Yeah, so I guess the rationale here is that UMs are ungodly expensive, especially two of them. That's 340 points. They need to be in the center where we've already seen double 2A4NL and another surviving 2A5. And the two UMs in a straight-up fight will take out either of those, and maybe even both. Well, maybe not both of them at once. The 2A4NL, 21 AP power versus the, yeah, I guess they'll technically deal 1 point of damage, but those UMs need to be in the center. Blue 4's presence in here is in part because there isn't a lot of Red 4 armor that's pushing them back, and that really is a bit of a shame because there's still a UM right here, there's double UM right there. Red 4 still has the forces on the ground, actually double UM up on this side, to really be bullying with those super heavies, and instead Blue 4 is bullying with fewer super heavies. So always take a look at that when you are playing this game, when you're thinking about, okay, where's my field presence, especially on Mudfight, especially in Dimitri. Now, maybe more for one-on-ones, not 3v3s, where there's any number of planes that could be sent after a super heavy at the snap of a finger. But, I don't know, I think there's a lot to be said for really just commanding this space. And, you know, with that said, I do kind of like this. So Fufu's UMs are moving forward. There needs to be more infantry padding this out. But one thing I think a lot of people don't expect is for the attacks to come from this side. So that's going to kill a bunch of BGS, and potentially, I mean, if there was more of an infantry screen here, the UMs and all this stuff could just cut sideways and really get into this corner that everyone fortifies. We can see an ADATS right there. There's some resupply. The short arrows are moving up yet again. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. I'm going to have to come up with a name for this video because this is more napalm than I've seen coming from Blue 4 in quite a while. I want to see if I'm right about which unit that is. Yeah, Rover 107s, South African Rover 107s. 40 points each. 4 of them I think is a little bit of an overinvestment, let alone 8. And part of the reason why, if we take a look at this burn pattern, this is very nice. But it's not as dense as you might think, even with 4. And I've noticed this before. I think the firing patterns are only semi-random. I think they have presets. Because you can fire 1 and you'll get a pattern, and you can fire 2 and you'll get much the same pattern, and you fire 4 and you get much the same pattern. I mean, you'd think if you have 4 napalm, I mean, if you have 8, you'd get pretty much solid napalm everywhere, but there are holes, and there are reasonably big holes through this, and what that means is that units that are even right inside the middle of the blast pattern, like this M84AN, can survive in a patch right here. They drive a little bit out, and then instead of having to go through everything, they only have to go through a little bit, and then they're clear of the flames. I think it's actually better, if you're going to do that, to fire them one at a time, because then each one of the patterns is independent, and you fire them slightly different places, and you might actually get better overlap. I tested that once, it seemed to work out pretty well, but my conclusion was it wasn't necessarily worth all of the micro that you needed in order to make it really oppressive. Because keep in mind, you still have to deal with the rest of the front, and if you're sitting back there with 4 hotkeys or 8 hotkeys for individual napalm trucks, it's like, okay, I think there's a level of focusing on what's not important there that's a little too high. Now, TDUM, geez, one-shotting a Verkenning with that. People, I think, forget, including me, that the Invar has 24 AP power, 60% accuracy. I never really used that thing to get those pickups, but that was a really nice one. Block 15C, OCU coming in, looking for that TADUM. Let's see if he gets... Oh, no. Evac ordered. Interesting. And can Kiraman get the kill? Yes. That is awesome. That is really awesome. anytime you can, just get the free kill there. Nice smoke micro. Probably lost line of sight and was pulled back. Let's see what the Super Gallops can do. And I think they were looking for the 2A5. Picking up perfect heading is still nice, especially if this plane does get out. Yeah, not bad. Not bad, not bad. I like the coordination here as well. Fufu has really just shifted over, and even if the UMs are still maybe not getting as much use as they possibly could, I mean, there are Urals coming up here to fix them, but that really needs to be on point. Call in your resupply before you take the damage, and then when you take the damage, which you inevitably will, you'll have something there to heal up and get back in the fight, because 340 points needs to be active. I mean, these two T80 UMs right there could have gotten a lot more work done on the Magach 6 Bet Gauls. 100, oh, well, these are the 70 pointers, but I mean, that's a lot of good kills if you can. And the T80 UM's guns would have augmented that M84 very, very nicely, so I think that would have been a good thing to have them do. ADATs here, and I don't know if it has more utility in team games than in 1v1s, but these missiles are extremely supply intensive. It's ridiculous. I didn't believe how much at first, and so I had to do a little bit of playtesting, and yeah, no, it's insane. I mean, there are supply trucks that can't do that on their own. Okay, so MLU circling, there are two MLUs. This one's just the ASF, but I think, well, I certainly get that mixed up sometimes. This is the Dutch one. The other one, I believe, is Scandi. Don't quite remember which nation in Scandi has it. Nice PD, and one shot. Yeah, very nice. PDs are amazing to pick up value with. They're 100 points. Even if you lose the plane, oftentimes you come out ahead just because you're usually killing something more expensive than what you're using to get the kill. And that sucks. Oh my goodness, that sucks. Second AMRAM there, taking out a Super Gallop that far behind your own lines. I mean, usually it's a pretty safe place to go and circle, but yeah, that's rough. Okay, so let's take a look at the battlefield right here. Blue is ticking +1, 96 points to 26, 28 minutes left. That's not a commanding lead, but it is something that I think Red does need to really handle. And we've seen a lot of pressure in on this corner. I would be willing to bet right now, like I said earlier, that the Blue Force CV is over here. And there's not really a lot of push over there, so just send a couple of Proletary up this way. Get them to clear things out. I can't imagine they have that much armor or anything that needs a significant anti-tank weapon over there. A couple of Proletary might be able to get a really good impact. And these UMs, I mean, they've been sitting here for, what, 5-6 minutes now without firing a single shot. It brings to mind some of the comments that Rara made to me the other day in that tourney game where, you know, I had a super heavy in my opener and he didn't fire a shot. And that really is just, it's a lot of points for not a lot of return, and that is not something that you can really do all that often. Oh my goodness gracious. You know, sometimes I forget that this game is 8 years old, because this is just beautiful. Terrifying, but beautiful. This looks like all 8 of them. Yeah, this is, hold on. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is, I want to say this is all 8. Let's take a look. Yeah, that was all 8 rovers. All 8 rovers. No way. No way should there be this much space in between all this napalm. It's like the rockets just hit the same place 8 times. Because we saw a denser pattern of fire over here when there were 2 of them, well, 2 groups of 4 fired next to each other. That's ridiculous. That's crap, man. Unless you want to tell me that 8 rovers with all their rockets rolled randomly into the same spot full of holes. So the BRDM2U could well have been dead there, and instead just drove a little bit out. That's fine. It wasn't really centered either, so even with separate targeting, it would have been a little tough. But there certainly could have been more area denial there, and I think that is just, it's something you have to keep in mind using the unit. I mean, there's always a difference between how you want units to be used and how they have to be used in order to get success. And yeah, I don't know, it's how the game is played. Okay, so double 2A4 and the 1-2A5 right there. Shots downfield, but it's just into Motostrelki. This is why you have cheap infantry screens. It really is just that helpful. And it looks like Whiskey is now doing what I said earlier with Proletary 90 as well. So these guys do have the armor piercing required to take on any sort of armor that might be there, including a command tank, although I don't think we'll see one. Certainly not one that's capable of handling 3 Proletary 90. I don't think that exists in Blue 4. Or even in Red 4, to be frank. Even the T80 UK would really struggle with that. Which, speaking of, there is one now from Officer Kierman Super Gallop on the dive here, looking for that kill. Down goes the 2A5, and that is awesome. Oh, that's not going to get out, is it? Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, I mean, seeing those 2 missiles coming for us, and they're going, okay, that's a dead Super Gallop, but it doesn't look like it. And, okay, there's paratroopers here. I didn't see if there was a CV there or not. I don't think we've seen one yet, and there is still a cap. Yep, there it is, TACOM. Very nice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dead? Dead and no decap. Alright, Anna is still capped for blue. Well, I guess that means 2 command vehicles, because we certainly saw that TACOM die. There's no way they got out of there. That's really not going to happen. I gotta compliment the blue 4 control on this. I mean, they're keeping that capped. They're really getting pressured a lot in the center, and this is something I think red 4 should take advantage of right now. And we only have about 6.5 minutes left in this game, so it's quite possible they do. But I think if there was a big push on both sides of this town, so you're cutting in looking for this corner, and you're cutting in looking for just denying this section of Dimitri, you could probably get a counter, well, a decap on Dimitri's, that flips that to red, that goes to a +0, and will also make it untenable for blue to reinforce in this corner, and then you can really grind that out. And all the rovers, let's see if this has the same dispersion pattern nonsense. One rocket hitting directly on the UK. That's pretty goofy. Yeah, look at this. Look at that. There's just holes. Man. Alright. I mean, I guess people have always said that the rover isn't a very good unit, at least that's what I've heard. And this is really supporting it. I think that even looks like there are probably 2 groups of 4 targeted differently again. It is a little bit more dense. But, man, that just hurts. That really does. Okay. 224 is all that's left here. I'd like to see these UMs up and forward. I mean, there's T-80As. There's, what, 1 UM there. UM and a BU here from Kiraman being a bit more passive than I would like. Of course, it does really guarantee the kill in this situation because I think blue feels the impetus to advance. But, I don't know, I would like to see that game ended sooner by just a little bit more aggression. And yeah, fire computer reset off of 2A4 and out. This is the safe way to play it. It really is going to grind your opponent down over a long period of time. I don't know, I tend to be a bit more hog wild, let's just get the offensive going and smash through. And, you know, sometimes you pay for that. But sometimes it really does just make it that much more dynamic of a game. So Thermomig coming in again, looking for 4 Stew Troop, and that could well be worth it. Well, I mean, it's still less expensive than the plane, but that is a lot of infantry killing power. And you have to keep in mind, if those Stew Trooping got through, they could probably mop up these Proletary and the VDV in the center town. Now, granted, that's in a vacuum. There is some supporting fire that would come in from the Red 4 side here. But, oh yeah, ouch. Okay, I mean, it's a nice area denial. Would have been even nicer if it was just a little farther back and hit the Stew Trooping, but I think they saw that coming. And, you know, you can't really anticipate your opponent's reaction all the time with bombs, no matter how good you are at that sort of targeting. So, Powderbat coming in, paratroopers, HT-40s are not the best in infantry killing, but, I mean, they are certainly soaking up some damage here as BVPs and Mechanizovana move in, and this looks like a decisive thrust. Double T80UM, the same 2 from Fufu, still alive after all this time, although that might be changing. Block 5 coming in with the cluster. If that's a right click, then some of these bombs might well hit their targets. There's not all that many. Yeah. Yeah, that was a right click because one of the bombs teleported, but it wasn't cluster. So that UM is fine, just kind of shook it off and said, okay, I don't care, that's alright. 84AN, one of the best tanks in the entire game, and Nighthawks looking for the follow-up kill. Let's see if they do get it. 1-2, and no. Interesting. I wonder if that was another blind bombing, because that certainly could well have gotten the kill, and the Nighthawk went down for its trouble, so not a lot of return on investment there, sinking into the ground, taken out by the Red 4 anti-air net that really has just gotten a ton of kills this game, an absolute ton, and this is something I really like. So Buffalo's 85 are expensive, 35 points, and the BMP3 looks like the perfect tool to range them out. 2450 meter range on that HE gun can definitely devastate infantry formations, and the amount that we've seen them use just behind a couple of units of infantry farther forward is very nice. I just think it could have been, if there were more sacrificial Motostrelki, these BMP3s combined with the heavy tanks and super heavy tanks could have been very oppressive a lot earlier. Instead, there's been a large infantry grind here. So Proletary 90, Mechanizovana, Skrezhets, Spetsnaz Gru, it is making its way through, but there's a lot of back and forth here. And, I mean, yeah, look at that. If the BMP3s were a little bit farther forward, getting side shots in the 2A4NL, would make this just impossible. Impossible to do for blue. And that is going to be... Oh, kill on the 8. No. The second you need that kill, I mean, the 8S has a ton of punch. You really need that to be a one-hit kill right there. BMP3 might be looking for it. No. Screening out the rifleman. That 8S being still alive is a little bit surprising. But yeah, I mean, why pull back right now, right? T80UM, just go for it. Go for it, go for it. Charge. See what you can do. Get the kill. Got the kill on the 8S. And that really is, I mean... Double 2A4NL is pretty much the last thing that's really holding this down, and there's enough anti-air back here, I think, anyway. I guess Igla. I could have sworn there was more. Wow, maybe I missed up on that. Yeah. I guess if there was a nice anti-air presence, I think these tanks just roll through at the moment. Double 2A4 and L on that side, and it looks like Whiskey and Fufu have gotten through on the left side in Anna. Still a cap. Yeah, still a counter cap. Where the heck is that? Okay, it looks like it might have just died. Yeah, I was going to be in the corner then. Yeah. Well, that happens sometimes. Alright, and that is pretty much going to be the game here, as Red Fort does just chew through the end of that Blue Fort presence, and we're going to take a quick look at some of the units that did very, very well for Whiskey, and then we'll have the other video up as soon as I can, brother. I promise you, it's been crazy since the, well, really since the return. I've had a lot of stuff to do at work, and a couple of tourney games, and then in addition, getting locked out of my YouTube account was not a lot of fun, so, you know, it is how it is. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm still putting up one video a day from here on out. It's just, you know, we have a queue of 12 remaining community casts, so I did one, and we'll get to the other one as soon as I can, but I don't want to cut too far ahead of other people on the list. So, some standout units, the M84AN, always going to do very well. M2A2 Bradley IFV is very expensive. We got 6-bet Gaul, 70-point tank right there. This guy definitely paid for himself and then some. We also have the Proletariat 90 getting some good kills. Highlanders 90 are very nice pickups there. They're only regular training, so I think they really just lose pretty hard to Proletariat 90. Okay, and other than that, BVPs, yeah, this is BVP the deck, I know. Yeah. Alright, well, that's going to be all we've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.